Welcome to another great edition of Scaling with Insights, where we bring in top industry leaders to share their insights of what's working well to scale their businesses. My name is John Russo. I'm a former CMO turned entrepreneur. Now I'm helping other businesses scale, grow, and measure their business for effectiveness. Welcome, everybody, and I am thrilled with today's guest speaker, Eric Maddox. If you don't know Eric, or if you haven't heard his story about empathy-based listening and how he got to that destination, it is unbelievably incredible. I'm going to bring Eric on in a moment, but to give some background, he has done over 2,700 interrogations as a fellow Army veteran, and has served over 8 tours of duty. And really his claim to fame is the intelligence and interrogations that led to the capture of Saddam Hussein. He's got some great skills that apply directly to the corporate world. And in addition to that, like myself, he likes to help veterans. But I'd love to bring Eric onto the show and have him do his own introduction. So bear with me here as I bring him on. Hello, Eric.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for making the time today. I know you got a busy schedule. Eric, maybe you could share a little bit about your own background or your story that kind of got you to this point.
Sure. I joined the Army in '94. I was an infantry guy. I re-enlisted. I became an interrogator, a Chinese Mandarin linguist. In 2003, I was working as a Chinese Mandarin linguist, but the Joint Special Operations Command, that task force responsible for tracking down everybody on the deck of cards in that war in Iraq, they wanted an interrogator with an infantry background. Really, they wanted an interrogator who had graduated from Ranger School. Apparently, in the United States Army, I was the only guy who had done that before, so they pluck me out of my Chinese Mandarin mission. I get stuck with this Delta Force team in Saddam's hometown of Tikrit, Iraq. Over the next 6 months, I did 300 interrogations. The old Army interrogation techniques were based on from the enemy country's military uniform, battlefield. They just didn't apply. I created a new interrogation technique. I coined it the empathy-based listening technique, and it's really the communication ability to build trust in a short period of time with any individual, particularly individual where there's limited amount of trust, to get them to open up. They really started to come to our side. These prisoners really wanted to become a part of what we were doing. Over 300 interrogations. We determined there was one individual who knew the exact location of Saddam Hussein. Towards the very end of my tour, the Delta Force team I was with, they captured this prisoner. They brought him into me, and using this technique, I broke that man in 90 minutes. In 90 minutes, he said, "Eric, I know where he is." That night, December 13th, 2003, he took that Delta Force team to the hole. And they couldn't find Saddam. John, they couldn't find him. Commander goes to the truck, pulls out the prisoners, says, "Where is he?" He led them around the backside of this farmhouse and starts kicking up the dirt, kicks up and open a rope. They realized there's ropes connected to a lid. They lifted it up, and there was Saddam Hussein. So Department of Defense, Secretary Rumsfeld at the time, Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld loved the way this went down. He said, "I want my own team of interrogators, and Staff Sergeant Maddox will be my first one." I spent the next 10 years as an interrogator for the Defense Intelligence Agency. That's where I did 8 tours, 2,700 interrogations, and really honed in on this interrogation technique, this communication skill of empathy-based listening.
Wow, that you have done some unbelievable work, and thank you for your service, by the way, Eric. That is just an unbelievable story. You said a lot there in a short amount of time. One of the things that I took away there that is really applicable to this environment right now is the word trust that you mentioned. We're in this environment, whether you're selling or you're just dealing with people overall, that the trust level is really, really low. And it's very difficult to break through the noise and to become that trusted party. I imagine through all of your work that with your empathy-based listening approach, you somehow figured out a nugget or two that can help in that regard. Maybe you could help spend a minute or two or a few minutes talking about what should somebody who wants to build that level of trust in an untrusted environment do?
I would say in any environment, the key to any relationship, the strength of any relationship, how much can I trust you, the person I'm supposed to be working with? And what I realized through my 2,700 interrogations, John, there's just a misunderstanding of what trust is, right? People like, oh, is it integrity? Of course that matters. Do you do what you're saying you're going to do? Yes, that matters. But the key to trust is that when we communicate, I've got to figure out, are you putting yourself ahead of me? That was my role with my prisoners. I had to let them know, listen, I have a mission, but the first thing that I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to accomplish, I'm going to understand and address your needs. If I do that, you'll address all mine. And so what I realized is, oh my goodness, that's how you get the highest level of trust. What the problem is, we have all these psychological distractions. People on average only listen to 25% of what they hear. I spent the next 10 years with this interrogation team identifying the categories of distractions, how we put those behind us, and how we change the way we communicate to not try to push information to influence, to not try to gather information simply to help us make better decisions, but to communicate with the exclusive purpose of seeking to understand another individual, because that is the highest level of trust. Not just saying I'm going to do right by you, but I have the ability to communicate with you to identify what is really most important to you. So when I go do what's right by you, I've made the right choices for you.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And thinking about the spirits of building trust. And, for us, I've heard you speak before at other events. You're a motivational speaker. And so right away, in my mind, I'm like, I got to talk with Eric. And you and I could build that trust quickly over Zoom because we've been veterans. We've both been in the Army. You've done a lot more work than I have. You've done real work. I have not. But how do you suggest in this kind of environment where people are dealing with Zoom, how do you build that kind of trust when we're all remote right now?
So literally since pandemic has begun, I've given over 60 keynotes, and it's training on this exact problem, right? And what we've got to realize, I want people to think, why do we talk to people? It needs to be to connect, to build trust. When we're face to face, we have these commonalities, we're both in the military, right? Then we get that natural sense of bonding. Over Zoom, that's gone. And if we're going to sit here and just communicate to push information to influence, or I just want to gather, you're going to start hearing things like, just text me. This could have been done over an email. The purpose of communication should be seeking to understand another person's perspective. When you do that, you can break through all barriers. John, I didn't speak the language of my prisoners. We were at war together. They'd try to kill me. I try to kill them. We're all trying to kill each other, right? On average, I got a prisoner to break in less than 1 hour. 2,700, less than an hour. And you cannot do that if you're trying to talk to influence. We have to seek to understand, let those, and this amazing thing happen. They go, wait, you're actually caring more about me than you are yourself. Every relationship, every time we have a conversation, we can do that, but we must learn how to communicate.
That's fantastic. And thinking about our own experiences here as veterans, and we were talking about this before we jumped on the show here, where 99% of the world right now in the US are not veterans, but they know people that have served, a father, an uncle, an aunt, a grandmother, grandfather. What do you think? What kind of skills from our military experiences kind of poured over into the corporate world or into even starting your own business? I know without the military, I wouldn't be here today. And it has given me discipline. I've got a service orientation toward my work. I feel like the trust factor is something I'm still working through in a low trust environment. But what are you seeing that veterans have skill-wise, or advice you could give to veterans to help bridge that gap so they can be successful in the corporate world?
Okay, thank you for that question. I got to first say, you said something earlier, and I got to stop you right there.
Sure.
You said, Eric, you did real work. I didn't do real work. John, don't ever say that. I'm serious, because you understand, you served our country. You sacrificed. You were there. I don't know what your background is, but listen, what you do, you're a model for the future. I'm not serving right now. I hope I can inspire. This country is built on patriotism. you did real work, and that's just it. I never consider I did
thank you.
anything better than any other veteran ever. And people know that when they talk to me. But here's the thing. When we look at transitioning, right, what do veterans have to offer? I always tell people, what's really funny is people think being a veteran, it's dress right, dress, and obey orders. The skill set that veterans bring is we're problem solvers. We're going to get thrown into a problem that we've never seen before, and quickly we have to think. We have to think on our feet. We have to push that communication. Being in the military, it's about gathering all the possible information and making those better decisions. Veterans, they have such experience on problem solving in stressful environments. They're fantastic at gathering information, analyzing that information. I know I'm an intel guy, so that's kind of my thing. It goes across the board. We process information. We put it into a platform. We're great at writing reports. We're great at informing, keep other people informed. It's about communication. I got out of the military. I got out of the United States government 6 years ago. I started my own company. What I realized in the business world, communication is everything. As a veteran, I want you to look at what you've done and boil it down to those unique skills. So they call them soft skills. They are the most valuable skills, and go, that is what you learned. That's what you honed. That's what made you successful in the military. That is what you have to offer the outside world.
I think you're exactly right on that. Because of the size of the organization, too, of the service that we dealt with, you had to deal with so many different people situations that those soft skills were being developed in real time. So you were constantly under the pressure of leading organizations, leading initiatives, and like you said, having to think on your feet. And all those skills translate directly over into starting a business or working for a business. I would echo what you're saying and say that veterans have outstanding skills that they can bring to the table in those environments. So thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Let me ask, let me just wrap up here by asking, you mentioned the keynotes that people are hiring you for currently. If somebody wants to get a hold of you and has interest in the empathy-based learning approaches that you're talking about, maybe you could share what's the best way to get a hold of you, and what can they expect out of that kind of conversation, or what does that output look like?
Sure. My website is ericmaddox.com. You can reach me at eric@ericmaddox.com. My keynote, I train on empathy-based listening. And I'll tell everyone out there, the number one skill set we need all of our people to have is to build trust, the highest level of trust, how to communicate, to remove our distractions, quit looking at our agenda, our goals, our objectives, right? Especially in the sales force, as we're leading our subordinates, to put that behind us, to seek to understand, to build trust. I do keynotes, I do training, and I do coaching on this thing. Build trust to increase your business, convert clients, and turn them into champions. That's what I do.
Excellent, Eric. Well, Eric, thanks again for making the time today to share your journey and your story. Thank you again for your service, and have a great Veterans Month with us.
Thanks, John. You too.